everybody, and welcome along to the collaboration. The piece that we do, I do one piece and Kyung Shotwell does another piece on from the same prompt, and then we both post our videos and hope that you both channel hop between the two of us to see which one you like best or what we've managed to do with the prompt. Well, today I've got a piece of 12 by 12 paper. It's from that heirloom pack, you know, that we well, a lot of us in the group bought it, I guess it's over a year ago now. And it's on my scoreboard. So this is, you know, you see a lot of videos around saying, you know, the easiest way possible to use up your 12 by 12s. Right, this is not that. It's a way to use your 12 by 12s, but it's perhaps the most convoluted way I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, I saw it some time ago now, and I made some notes, and these are they. But I didn't obviously see fit to say where I'd got it from or anything, so it's not my idea. I did get it from somebody, but I don't know who. I've been through my history, I can't find it, so I'm afraid I can't give any, you know, credit out to anybody, except to say it's not my idea, because I don't think I would have come up with this. Right, so here's my 12 by 12 on my scoreboard, and I'm doing this on one-sided, single-sided paper. The first time I did it, the first of two times that I've already tried this, I did it on Timmy paper, which is obviously double-sided, and it worked out great, but I wanted to see if you could do it on single-sided. So I tried it, and yeah, pretty much you can. There's little bits that you've got to add stuff to, but you get the basis of it. So anyway, here we are. We're starting from the 12-inch side, and we're going to score at ½ an inch, which is 11½. And this stuff from the heirloom paper pack scores really easily. It's lovely. And then we're going to score at don't do this the wrong way round. We're going to score at 8. Yeah, so ½ an inch, and then again at 8 inches. And then again at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4½. Right, I'll go through those again with you because they were a bit not clear. Your first scoreline wants to be at 11½, your next one at 8, and your next one at 4½, and that's it, no more. So then you turn it. Let's turn it this way. It's bound to be the wrong way, but never mind. And score it at 7. I'm just trying to think what you do and if that's the right way. Oh, blimey, I can't remember. Would it be better that way? Yeah. So I'm turning it so the big unscored bit is at the bottom and the ½ inch score is at the top, and I'm going to score it at 7. And let's just hope that's right. That's all I can say. So that's me finished with the scoreboard. There's no more scoring to do. So take note that that line is not halfway. It's not on the 6-inch. It's on the 7-inch line. Righty-o. So the next thing that we need to do is cut a piece out. The piece I want to cut out is this piece here, which is 5 inches down and whatever that is, 4½ inches across. So it's this piece here. Here's the ½ inch and the other score and the other score, and it's this last score and down here, and that piece wants to come out in total. My pen doesn't even work. It's giving up the ghost. I've done far too much of this today. So I'm going to cut that out following those score lines, just following the sort of well, the outside, I guess it is, of the score line, because you don't want any of that scored section showing on your work. So right up to there, and then along this one. like that. Now keep hold of that because we need that later on. And the next thing that I want to do is ink all around it. I can do that. I can do that, definitely. So let's crease everything up, and we want all of this creased over to the face of the paper, like this. And this one as well we'll crease. There we are. So we've got everything creased, and now I'm just going to ink around it, which I'm pretty sure you don't need to see me do. You know how to ink. The only other thing I am going to do, I'll tell you before I go, is just get your little scissors, and on the 1/2 inch that we've scored down, just cut a little mitre there. Cut a little mitre there into that score line, and down here as well, and at the top. Right, so it now looks like that. So I'll ink it, and then you'll be able to see exactly what's going on. Maybe this light paper wasn't such a good choice, but I thought it would show things up, but it's not. Anyway, see you in a sec. Hi there, I'm back. I didn't realise that there was quite so much that I hadn't done, but I think I'm a bit more organised this time. I've inked around everywhere so you can sort of see the panels that I'm referring to. Now then, the next thing we're going to do is on this panel, which is the 7-inch panel, and it's the one nearest the 1/2 inch score line, and this one, which would have been the middle bottom, if you like, shorter panel, we're going to draw a border all the way around them and cut it out with our scalp craft knife, or however you choose to do your cutting. I use a craft knife, but before I get to that, I just need to draw my lines out. So it's that panel there, the 7-inch one next to the 1/2 inch score, and I'll just get my ruler. I don't know if that's long enough, possibly. Yeah, this can be a problem. I can't see my score lines there. I'm just going to have to go down that, I think, with a pencil. I just can't see it. And maybe on the other side too. Down there and on the bottom, because it's white and the light obviously is shining on it, and it makes it very, very difficult to see anything. So I've just drawn around the edges, that's all, just on the score lines. So I'm going to get my ruler and go at 3/4 of an inch on the edge, not the edge of the flap, the edge of the panel. So 3/4 and 3/4, and I'm just going to draw a line, turn it round, line up 3/4 on the top, draw a line, 3/4 on the side. It's still difficult seeing. I think that's it there. And then on the bottom, where are we? There we are. I hope you're not seeing my head here, but it's really difficult in the light to see what you're doing. What's going on here? Have I got no lead in my pencil? I seem to have not drawn that line in, which is odd. Never mind. We'll do it again. There we are. So right, so we've got a 3/4 inch frame all the way around here, and I've drawn it onto the wrong side of the paper. So then I'm going to take my craft knife, my scalpel in my case, and just put the ruler on the line and go from where they cross over, the corner, right down to where they cross over at the bottom. and just keep doing that. Be careful if you're not used to using a scalpel, because they can be lethal things. They can cause really serious injuries. So never underestimate a scalpel. You need it sharp to do your paper crafting, but you know, just be careful, that's all. Right, so with a bit of luck that should fall out. Well, nearly. That wasn't too bad, was it? So that's that one. So let's put my blade away and let's just rub out these lines. They don't need to be there any longer. I think we'd be all right with them. We probably wouldn't see them, but just in case, it's better just to get rid, isn't it? There we go. Lovely. And the next one that we are going to put, let's turn it back the right way. So that's that one. So the one directly underneath it, we're not going to touch that one. It's the one to the left. So the center smaller piece here. So let's turn that back over. And we're going to just do exactly the same thing. Just go around it 3/4 of an inch, making our marks. I don't know if I can see this one. Yes, I can actually. And then on the top. And then we're going to do the same thing, cut it out again. Can't see that one. There we go. So just cut round that with the craft knife again, and we'll have two sort of windows, really. Windows on the world. And when I say I'm using acetate, I am using acetate, but you could use, you know, the way food comes packaged, cakes and things come packaged with a clear window on the top so you can see the pure yumminess of it and can't not buy it. Of course, I don't speak from experience here, but I think that's what happens. Well, I mean, if you wash that off, if any icing or frosting, as you would call it, has touched it, just wash it off, you know, and it's perfectly good to use. So you don't need rush out and buy acetate. There are other ways, other places you can find acetate in, largely food stuff. So let's see, does that want to come out? Oh yes, look at that. Right, okay, so let's look at this way up. This is a 7-inch side, this is the 5-inch side. So we've got our windows round there, and let's ink along the inside of those before we forget, because that would just be like something I would do. Getting into the corner of these is always tricky, isn't it? I'm sure there's a technique to doing it, something like folding the paper a certain way, but I don't know it. It's a bit floppy, this as well. The paper in the heirloom pad is quite thin, which I like actually, because most paper pads you get, the paper is, well, it's not paper, it's card. And sometimes, you know, if you want to do folding things with it, folding things, it's just a bit, it all ends up a bit too much, a bit thick. So let's move down to this one. So yeah, I like the heirloom pad for that. And also, I mean, I just love the papers in it. They're kind of grungy a little bit. And I seem to be on a bit of a grungy spell at the moment. Although this paper, you couldn't describe this as grungy, I don't think. you can do grungy things to it, and actually by using this ink that is really, really dark, I'm progressing down that route. But you could use vintage photo or something on this paper, and it would look well, vintage rather than grungy. That's all I'm trying to say. Right, so the next thing, according to my thing, is to put thumb notches. Right, so ultimately this is going to be up like that. So this is going to be the top. So I need to put a thumb notch on there. So that measures 3.5. So I reckon half of that is 1 3/4. So I'm just going to put myself a little line. If you're confident about doing this without putting a little line, go ahead. But I know I'm just rubbish at it, so make it quite shallow. That is what I've learnt from doing it a few times already. You want a notch, but you don't want a gigantic notch. Otherwise, later on, it'll come back to bite you on the bum. There we go. And same on this one. So I'm guessing that's 3.5 as well. 3.5, so 1 3/4, which is there. So let's do a corresponding thumb notch there. Just a little shallow one. Lovely. And let's just ink that before I forget about it. Lovely. Right. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do also involves the scalpel, and it involves this centre panel here. If you draw up from one window and across from the other, that's the panel that we're talking about here, this one. Okay, so it's the 7-inch panel next to the 7-inch window panel. Okay, so let's turn that over. And I've been doing this all day and my hands are just full of glue. So we're going to make some lines, 1.5 inches from the top, three inches from the top, and 4.5 inches from the top. So each one is 1.5 inches apart, like that. Then what we're going to do is draw a line that is 1/2 inch in from the crease line. Let's just draw a line down that crease line. Make my life easier. And here. Can't even see that. Note to self, white isn't a good paper choice. Right, so what we're going to do, oh yeah, that's the crease line. Now draw 1/2 inch in from the crease line over where these three are here, and that will tell us where to stop with our lines that we're going to cut. There, there and there. Right, okay. So what we're ostensibly going to do now is cut out 3 slits, and this line here is going to be the centre. We're going to cut one above it and one below it. So we've actually got a slit, not just a line. So take your ruler again and your scalpel once more and just line that up just above the line that you drew. Just a little bit, and then just below it. In my case, I find it easier to come up and do all of them, so I'm going to do all the ones above the line first. We've done this before on projects, I know we have, so I know you know how to do it. So from that line that we marked 1/2 inch in, all the way to the other side. And then I'm going to come down and do that just a little bit. And this one, the same. And then this one. Oops. And then let's just turn that over, and I'm just going to nick out these little marks here, you know, the actual tag itself, the little bit we've cut out. Don't try and tear them out because you don't get a very good finish. So they should theoretically fall out. Yay! Yay! Where's this one? There we go. So we've got our 3 little slits, which will be pockets. Can you see those there? I think you can. There we are. So what I need to do now is put thumb marks in them and then ink them. Yeah, yay, that's fun. So I'll just get my ruler so as I can find the central section to mark these at. And they measure, what do they measure? 2.5, so 1 1/4 in from the end of the slit. I'm just going to put a little mark there to let me know where to punch my hole. And this is quite fun. You have to sort of take this, get your hole punch and feed it up through from the bottom. But it can be done. There we go. Same on this one. So it's a good idea to have your line marked because it's kind of difficult to eyeball this where the centre is when you're doing it this way. Right, so there we have it. I have now got 3 little thumb notches there. So all that remains now is to ink it, and for that I'm going to use my little finger dauber. I might get more precision. I might not either, but we'll give it a try. So I'm just sort of holding them apart. Is it necessary, you ask? Well, you know, it probably is. Just to give that nice finish to it. But it is a bit of a fiddle. I do quite like these finger daubers for going round tricky things. I find them easier to control than the big dauber that we always use, you know. There we go. So just one more left to do. So there's not masses, I haven't put masses of ink on there or anything, but I have put enough on that it looks inked, and I like that. So, right, there we are, that's that done. There's some marks around, but it's fine, it's ostensibly perfect. Right, so if you're a bit worried about these tearing at the sides, one thing you can do is use masking tape, sellotape, anything like that. I'm going to use masking tape. Oh, comes attached to other things. Where's the end? Here's the end. So I'm just going to put it just at the end of those slits that we cut in, like that. Cut that off. This has got a bit of a raggedy end, so I'm going to cut that off as well. Just heard a thump from the bedroom, so 3 guesses as to who's up there creating merry mayhem. Yeah, the little one. And this one the same, just at the end of your slits there, like that. Right, so we'll burnish those down. Just put that away. Burnish these down so they've got a really good stick down, and then it will save the corners of those slits from tearing. So I'm just going to fold that in again and crease that again with my bone folder where we've put the masking tape. Come on, remember your words. They're just words. Right, okay, so that's that done. Now then, what happens now? Make thumb notches, distress inside frames and slots. We've done that. Yes, the pockets. The pockets. Now, this is where I'm going to deviate from the video that I watched, and I'm going to use for my pockets some scraps of, if I can find some scraps of coffee stained paper. But I don't seem to have very many the right size. Is that? Yeah, that's all right, and that's all right. I just need one more. I had loads of these, but I've been really busy this week, so that's is that wide enough? Not quite. Not quite. Don't say I'm going to have to cut into a new sheet of coffee stained paper. Oh, what's this one here? Yes, I've got one here that's got something on the back. Oh, Mr. F's been scrubbing around and found something. Thank you very much. Marvellous, that is. Right, so now I need to cut these to just less than 2.5, 2 2/3. Let's say that, 2 2/3. Two and 2 2/3. 2 2/3. Okay. Just a minute. Right, I thought I was going doolally there for a minute. This measures 2.5, and I want to cut my paper at 2 3/8. Nothing like 2/3. That doesn't even come into it. It's 2 3/8. Oh dear, it's the stress of the day. 2 3/8. Right, let's do that. So that's it there. It's even got a blooming line. Perfect. So just get that square down the ruler and chop it off. Right, so that's one. Let's just check that that's the right size before we go any further. Yes, that's lovely. Right, so I want them all at 2 3/8, and I need 3 because I've got 3 pockets. 2 and... Actually, I'm going to cut that the other way because I can see this is a straight edge here. 2 3/8, which is there. And this one as well. 2 3/8. Marvellous. Right, so I'm going to keep these little scraps because I tell you, even for fabric ruffles and things, these come in. They really do. I've used loads this week. So I will need to do a bit more chopping. Yeah, but maybe not quite yet. So what we're going to do is feed these through No, that's not what I did. That's not what I did at all. What I actually did was just use one piece. Yeah, I deviated. Yeah, I deviated from the straight and narrow. But I just used one piece there. You can, if you want to, put one piece there, or just glue it just above there and cut it off. One piece there, just above the slit, and cut it off. And another piece there. Actually, that would be the most sensible way of doing it. So let's do that. So I need to glue that down there. You wouldn't believe I've done this twice before, would you? You would not believe it. I don't believe it myself. The thing is, I haven't written in all the things that have changed. So that's going just there, just above the slot and down, facing down. I'm going to do the same with this one. Just above the slot. Doesn't matter how much above the slot you are, to be honest. And just line it up with that other one there. And then this one. So really any scraps of paper that you've got will do. I'm just using these. I don't know why. They're sort of in keeping with the thing, I guess. So line those up with there. Right. What does it look like on this side? Yeah, you see, I like those papers coming through. I know it's only a tiny bit, but I do like them. So what I'm going to do now is make a mark there and there, and I'm going to cut everything off, which is very bold of me. So from one scissor mark to the next. I'm not keeping this bit, but I'm definitely keeping these two. So I think they need another little haircut because they're going to get caught up in that. So let's just cut another good 1/8 of an inch off. Yeah, that's fine. You won't get caught up in that. Lovely. So I'm going to glue these down now. And they really only need to be glued at the bottom. So this one, just put some glue along there. Smooth it out. Some glue along here. And along here. So you see, it wasn't that complicated. I was trying my hardest to make it complicated, but it actually wasn't that complicated at all, really, was it? Okay, so we've got our pockets in. Hurrah! Lovely. Yep, windows, pockets, lovely. Right, let's read the instructions and see what it says. Apply button closure on top of small window. This is the small window. This is the top of it because it's got the thumb notch in. So button closure, let's have a look at those. Let's see if I've got all. Let's get rid of this mucky board. It's horrible. So I have cut out 6. This is actually from a Tim Holtz remnant, would you believe? 6 of these. And what did I do with my spare bits off here? Did I put them in a bin? Oh well, never mind. I'll use cream paper, cream card. And I'm going to cut out. So I've got 3 of these. As I say, they're Tim Holtz remnants, so you know how thick they are. And I'm going to cut 2 out in cream. Punch 2 out, I should say. 1, 2. Right. So I'm going to stick the 3 Timmies together with one of these on the top. Right. And we do need 2. We're only using 1 at the moment, but ultimately we need the other one. So let's make both of them up together. So I'm putting glue just around the outside really, because I'm going to put a brad in the middle and I don't want the brad to get caught up with the glue situation. So let's make one first. So you just stack them up, glue side to non-glue side, and your fancy paper, or in our case cream card, on the top. And you just sort of feel them around in your hand, and they lie flat. Oh, I've got so much glue on my hands. So that's that. So we'll just ink round that. And I'll make the other one up, seeing as we're here. Get off my hand. So then we'll have 2 buttons for a string closure. So non-glue to glue, non-glue to glue, and the fancy one on the top. And like I say, you just sort of feel them around in your fingers and they'll go into circles. Squash them down a bit so as they glue. Ink them. And then we need to find a circle. Now Mr. F made me a really cool tool to do this, but I don't know where it is. So I'm going to have to guess again, like the bad old days. Let me find it. Let me see if I can find it. Well, I've had a really good look around my desk and I can't find it. It could be one of those things that the gnomes have taken. Highly possible. However, I'll do it old school way. So guess where the middle is, which I'm never any good at. That's why Mr. F made me a tool. That's no good. Wants to be down there a bit, I think. And we'll do this one as well. No, I'm rubbish at this. Right, so I'm going to get my crocodile out, but you don't have to. You can just push your pokey tool through if you want to. Not too bad. Well, there would have been better with Mr. F's tool, but who knows where that is. Right, so it's going on the top of this little one here, the window one, and I need to push a hole through for it. Now I want this down as far as I can possibly get it, so using the hole to size up how far down I can take it before I actually fall off the paper. If I move my fingers behind it would help. So about there, I think. So we're into the thumb notch definitely, but try and centre it on the thumb notch and get your pokey tool and just poke through there. Right, and you might need to go quite, in my case I've got thick legged brads. So pop your brad through and your brad through there, and then just open your brad legs out and try and open them out sort of going across the top of your window. Oh, come on. I don't think nail varnish and crafting go well together. Don't think they're happy bedfellows. Anyway, here we go. So I want them level, you know, like in that configuration, so they're straight with the window. And get your bone folder. Just make sure they're pressed down properly, like that. Right, So the next thing to do, so that's it, that's your string and button closure done. In all my looking around, I've now lost my list of instructions, so I haven't got a clue what to do. Yeah, apply button closure to top of small window and apply the acetate window. Right, okay. Well, I have taken the liberty during one of the poses of cutting my acetate windows out, one for this window, one for that, and putting double-sided around it. So I'm going to, I've burnished it on, we're all ready to go. So I'm just going to take the release tape off the back of the double-sided. And you want it obviously to fit within the panel and larger than the window. But I would like this one to come up over that brad if I can, but under the thumb notch. So like that. So it comes over that brad there. So it won't get caught on anything and it won't get caught on your fingers. Just secures it as well, actually. It does another job of securing it. So make sure that's pressed down firmly all around. So that's our acetate in there. And I want to put my acetate on my other window as well. So same story, remove the release tape and stick it on. This time we're not trying to cover up a brad or anything, so just centralise it on your section, on your panel. Not entirely sure I've cut this out square, but it doesn't really matter as long as it's, as I say, bigger than the window. Wow, that is super sticky stuff. Okay, let's go with it. I'm just above the window there, but it doesn't matter, I am above it, and that's the only thing that counts. So there we are, let's get rid of this release tape. Like that. Right, okay, so we're making progress. Ultimately that's going to go like that. And this is going to fold up and go there. So we're going to have two sort of windows here. Don't worry about this being white on the back and this being white on the back. You can, if you want to, cover them with paper at this stage. You know, put a decorative paper or a bit of dictionary page or anything like that you want to. Actually, I've got some dictionary page. Let's do that. Let's find a piece that isn't. I don't really want that word in it. That looks all right. So I'm just going to tear that out. And this one. You can use anything. You can use music paper, plain paper, pattern paper, book page, scrapbook paper, anything you like. I just thought that dictionary paper might look quite nice. So you see what happens when I shut this pocket. I've got this at the top and I don't really want that, and you can see the white through the thumb there. So I'm going to cover this up with book page. So let's just make some lines where I need to cut it. I need to cut it there and there. I don't want that white margin at the top, so I'm going to cut it there and then down to about there. Right, so I just need to cut that out, and I'm hoping that my trimmer will do that, because sometimes with very thin paper trimmers falter. Let's cut this line out first. Oh, beautiful. And this one. It's just an extra step. I didn't actually do this with my other ones, but I'm going to cut that off, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to have to mark it again because I've just cut my mark off. This is perhaps something that I should have done last time, but I didn't. So I just want to move that in just to stop it binding in the crease and cut that there. I can't see the mark. There it is, I think. Right, let's have a look. I don't really want to keep these. They're so thin. It's difficult, you know, where you can use them. I use it largely as a glue book, to be honest with you. So let's see if we can get this onto here. I think that's perfect. Oh, it might be a bit wide actually. Might be just a touch wide. So let's just take a little bit off there. Oh. No, it doesn't want to cut it. It's so thin, and now I'm asking it to cut just a little bit off. It doesn't like it. Now I'm going to have to do it with my scissors, I think. It has left me a nice score line to cut along. Right, let's have a look. So does that fit inside that panel? Yes, it does. It fits up to the top and within that bit there. So excellent. So let's get it glued down. I think I'm going to use glue stick for this. And to add insult to injury for the poor dictionary, I'm going to use it as a glue book. Oh dear me. I don't think there's any naughty words on either side of this, so I think we're all right. So just, it's so thin that glue stick will really do the job perfectly. Or you could use, you know, tape runner or something like that if you've got one. Right, now I want this right at the top so it covers up that thumb notch mark. So let's try our hardest to get this right on the top. Like that. Marvellous. And then just stick it down. So that still folds. Yeah. And that, now when we fold that over, we've got this lovely dictionary page behind the window. Excellent. Fabulous. Good thing. Now I'm just going to do the other one and then I'll join you back again in a second. Okay, and we're back. So I've got both my pieces of dictionary page, which I haven't done before. I haven't done that one before. And what I need to do now is just cut up along here. Underneath the 7-inch acetate window. So cut along that score line that you made much earlier on, like yesterday. And that just frees that. And that ultimately is going to be a pocket there that folds up that way. So make sure that you've got your dictionary page going the right way. So that's the way it will be read, not upside down like it is here. I told you this was the world's most complicated thing to do with a 12 by 12. And yes, it absolutely is. Right, so let's move on. Let's forge forward. So this piece that we cut off before, which was this piece here, now comes into its own because we need to trim it down. So along the longer side, we need to trim it to 3 3/8. So that is there, according to my ruler. Right. And this, you know, I could have used for the top of the button enclosures, but I didn't, so it doesn't matter. I just didn't. Right, now then, this is all that gets a little bit tricksy now. I need to cut a little bit more off there so as these aren't kind of rubbing on each other. And if I leave them like that, they're going to interfere with each other, which I don't want. So just trim a tiny little bit off there, up to the crease. And I think that's probably going to do the job for us. Let's just make sure that's going to be there. Yeah, lovely. There's no interference here. Absolutely not. So yeah, so there, like that. Just leave this piece alone. It'll be all right ultimately. And that's going to go there, like so. Oh, I'll tell you what I want to do. I just want to ink those before I stick anything down. Just behind that thumb notch, our dictionary page. Right, okay, that's that done. Now then, this piece that we've just cut, we are going to do... Come on, stop being awkward. Thank you. We are going to make it meet this front pocket here and fold up round the back and form a little fold over, really. That's what it's going to be. So fold it so you've got about 1/2 inch on the back, like that, down, not down as far as where your window starts. So there, like that. And let's just do that. Let's do that first, because that's the awkward bit. So let's glue that down. So it's about 1/2 inch, just less than 1/2 inch you want to glue down. Make sure you've got it straight. Make sure that it's not seen when that's over there, which is fine, it's not. So that's lovely. Let's press that down. Should have inked this first, but I didn't, so fold over the first pocket and the second pocket, and now this comes down to match up to the top of this pocket. Such fun was had by all. I don't quite know why that. Just going to cut a little bit off this. It doesn't seem to want to lie square, exactly square anyway. So I'll just cut a little bit off it. Let's see if that helps its health and temper. So that's like that. That's like that. Yes, that's much better. So this folds over and it meets up with the top of that pocket there. Make sure you've got it straight. Yeah, I think that's pretty straight. And crease that in. Right. And this doesn't really serve any purpose apart from you can see you've used all of the 12 by 12. I can't see any other purpose that it has really. So I'm just checking that I've got that right before I bone folder it in position. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Right. So let's ink this now. There's another one of these things that you could, if you wanted to, because this bit will be seen, you could put dictionary paper or anything you want on here. I put coffee stained paper on mine, but I'm just going to, I think we've complicated ourselves quite enough today. I've complicated me quite enough today, I can tell you. So I'm just going to ink around it for the time being, and that will be that. I actually want to put some corners in it, so ink across the top there, down that side, just everywhere really. Everywhere you can see that needs a bit of ink. Any edge is fair game, I would say. There we go. Right, I'm just going to get my corner rounder. Yeah, it's in a box over here. How convenient. Right, look at my new corner rounder, and all I can say is a huge thank you to the people that bought me a cup of coffee, because ultimately that is what bought this. I did have a smaller corner rounder that I've had for years and worked really well, apart from when it didn't, and I used to have to bang it off the table, and I banged it off the table once too often. It still kind of works, but I've got this Bosch one, so I'm really full of myself. So it's got two, one is 1 1/4, one's a half. One is 1/4, one's a half. So I'm just gonna, I mean, it's so easy. It's so easy. I love it. I'm using the 1/2 inch side. And you can, if you want to, round these corners as well. I'm not going to, because I might go ahead and, you put some dictionary paper or something on there. Who knows? Who knows what I might decide to do? I don't. Just going to ink that side because it looks not so good, and just ink where I've taken those corners off. Right. So, what remains to be done now? I think what remains to be done now is we need to glue these pockets in place. Now, this is where your decoration comes into play. And if you want to stick something on the inside of your acetate, now is the time to do it. That's why I've been putting off actually sticking these pockets down, because I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to stick something in there or not. I'll say for this that I'm not going to. It just makes it a bit easier and slightly quicker. So I'm going to just glue these down and call it a day at that. We can, make whatever we decide to put in the pocket as fancy as we like. So let's fold that over to there. Lovely, that is lovely. Oh, I didn't do the bottom. I'm so guilty of not doing the bottom of my pockets, honestly. It's quite ridiculous. So just a little bit of glue along there. I doubt anything would ever come out of it, you know what I mean, because it's folded. But it's better to do the bottom. Be sure, glue your bottom. Just down here. I know this is a fadaddle. I know it's a real fancy way of doing things, but if you can follow it, if you can, it's worth doing. I'll show you what I've done with mine ultimately. And so that's my pockets glued in place, bottom and the side. So that folds up to there. This comes down to here, and we now need to put our other doodah in. Let's put the pin in my glue. Although I must admit, of late I've been leaving it out a little bit, and it's actually been behaving itself better. Go figure, I don't know. So I want it straight up and about there. It's arbitrary. Put it where you fancy. Where's my little ruler? I don't know. I've lost it. Oh well, let's use a big ruler. It's not the end of the world. So I want it sort of where the middle of that is, and about there. Not for any other reason than it just feels right to me to do it there. So we've already punched the hole in our other button. So let's get the pokey tool, go through there, and I don't need it on there, just through there. Go through there, like so. Get our other brad. Push it through, and this time we haven't got the constraints of trying to cover it up with acetate. Ultimately I will come along, I'm sure, and cover this with something, dictionary page, coffee stained paper, something, and then that will get covered as well. So there we have it, there's that. And, oh, looks a bit that way, but never mind. And I'm just going to use some twine, some really quite thin twine actually, that surely has an end, but then again, maybe not. And I want 2 pieces that are, I don't know, let's say 10 inches, shall we? It's about 10 inches. That's too much. 8 inches? Yeah, they're about 8 inches. I don't want 2 pieces, do I? No, I only want 1. So just feed that through behind the, find your centre, feed that through behind there. For the first occasion you might just have to lift it up a little bit to get it under, and then just take that, twist it round that way, take this one, twist it round that way, there's your 2 ends there. And the only other thing is this. Now, the video that I watched, the lady just folded it over like that and that was it. I'm not so sure that I'm really keen on that idea. I prefer mine to be this way. So you're looking at it like this, and this can get stuck down onto your journal page if you want to, and then you've got all of this inside it. It's up to you. It's entirely up to you. You know, you can cover that with something, but I prefer it this way. That's all. And that is ostensibly finished. Hooray! So I'd like to show you what I did with mine. The one that I made 2 today, but this is the one that I finished completely. Here it is. It's not Tim Holtz paper. It's another page from that heirloom pack, but it's the same idea. So this is the top flap, which I've decorated with, you know, whatever I came across. Some of it is Tim Holtz, some isn't. So that flips up like that, and I've covered that with coffee stained paper. This is the front pocket here, and I stuck this little fellow to the acetate before I put my tag in, and then these are all Tim Holtz stamps and stuff like that. And then I made a tag out of coffee stained paper, stenciled it a bit. This is from Tim Holtz Layers, I think, and I wanted that because it goes in behind him. You see now, I didn't put dictionary paper there, and it would have been a great improvement if I had, but never mind, I didn't. So that just goes in there. So when the tag's in, he looks, this is great. It's all, you know, I like this behind him. And that's that. The other pocket is this one, which I decided to do sort of red, as you can see. And this guy here, he looks just a little bit, I don't know what you're taking a photograph of me for. And I stuck him to the acetate inside there, just made a little collage of Tim Holtz stuff, some stamps around it, another tag in there. This time it's got cream behind it because that's what I chose to use for the back of my slits. And I stuck that on there, so when it goes in, it just goes in behind him like that. And I love that, I really do like it. So that's that. This needs perhaps something in there, I don't know what yet, I haven't got to that. Turn it over, here are my tags. This is the back of my top flap, just stamped on there. So I've got all my tags, which are Tim Holtz tags, in there. A nice rose, because I thought it just looked really nice. Just went with it. And here is it was just a piece of paper that I had, and I ripped it out of a book and really liked this edge to it, so I kept it. I don't know if you can see that overly well, actually. There you go. And just made a little thing out of this. Bit's a sort of collage, I guess, and then I just put some stamps on it. And this I've left because that's probably what I'm going to be sticking into my journal. So if I stick that into my journal, I've still got this, which flaps up and down, and then it flaps that way like that. So I've still got enough there to be of interest in a journal page. So let's just have a look at my journal as it is so far. It's not finished. I have been putting photographs out of it. It's all basically Tim Holtz, apart from these leaves which appear on almost every page, and they were from a rack that was sent to me by Gonnie. Sorry, Gonnie. I'm concentrating on so much I almost forgot your name. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was sent to me by Gonnie, and that same day that it arrived, I knew it was what I needed for this book. So that's one page. I've used tea stain paper. Then here I've used Tim Holtz paper. It's you can see what it is there. I'm not really going through this. Well, I am, but I'm not. You know, it's just to show you what I've been doing. I love that page. It's lovely. And that one. This still needs decorating. It's got the bare bones in it, but it needs decorating up. So this page, this is the first page we've come to that I could actually use this in. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that I'd cut that down. Oh, I forgot to mention that I cut that down in a file shape, but I'm sure you all figured that out. So that fits perfectly, absolutely perfectly. I think it was made to measure on that page, and I think it would be a really nice inclusion in the journal. I could put it on that side. Similarly, I could have it on that side, and it would fold out that way, which might be better actually. So that's it. That is my trauma of the day. But please have a go. It's kind of, once you've done it once and agonised over it. This was the one I did first and agonised every step of the way. And you'll see it came out the other way round. I don't know how that happened. But it's Tim Holtz and it's really nice. So I'll keep hold of that because it'll come in for another journal at some stage. But I decorated this one up just so you could see actually kind of the potential that it has. Because that looks really pretty, doesn't it? Yeah? Okay, well, what can I say? I'm very grateful to you for hanging with me today, and for staying right till the end, because I know it was confusing. It's confused me. That's why this is the third one that I've made. Well, the one we made today was the third one, this one. But, the inclusion of the dictionary paper, I just thought of that while I was doing this, and that's a great step forward, I think. So, right, guys, I'll see you soon. Oh, yes, Mr. F's reminding me that I need to come up with a prompt for next week. And what did we say? What did we say, Mr. F? Acetate. Yes, acetate. That's what we said, acetate. Oh, my goodness, where would I be without Mr. F? I'll tell you. I do not know. I don't know. He's fabulous. Right, so I'll see you really soon. Take care of yourselves because things are getting a bit hairy out there again, as ever. And I'll see you soon. Bye.